Am I the asshole for hiring a private investigator to follow my boyfriend because his work wife gives me bad vibes? So, here's the deal. I, 26F, boyfriend, 28M, has a work wife. At first, I thought it was no big deal, even kinda cute that he had a friend at work he could vent to and joke around with. But lately, I've noticed he's been talking about her a lot. He'll mention things she said, funny jokes they shared, and even how she totally gets him. And to make things worse, he's been working late and going to more after-work drinks than usual. I confronted him a couple of times about it, and he laughed it off, saying I was being paranoid. So I decided to, hire a private investigator to see if there was more going on. I honestly didn't think I'd find anything, I just wanted peace of mind. Turns out, they went out for dinner last Friday after work. My boyfriend told me he was wrapping up a project, but he was at a nice restaurant with her. When I confronted him with the evidence, he was furious, saying I had crossed a line and invaded his privacy. He insists it was an innocent dinner and that he didn't tell me because he knew I'd freak out. Now he's barely speaking to me, and a couple of friends I told think I went way overboard. But I just had a gut feeling, you know. Am I the asshole for hiring the private investigator? Stories number 4. Am I the asshole for walking out on a blind date my friend set up 2 weeks after my husband died? I just really need some clarity on this situation. I 23F lost my husband 25M weeks ago to a car accident. He was the love of my life and I'm still not used to waking up without him every day. We have big plans for our future and it all came crashing down in a heartbeat. We met on his uncle's farm, he was a farm hand and it was love at first sight for me. I'm also 4 months pregnant but I haven't told anyone, I was planning on telling my friend when I was feeling better. My best friend Lee 24F has been my shoulder to cry on during this time. She helped me with his funeral and anything else I needed as I'm no comment with my professional background family story for another time. She is currently dating Barry 24M. They usually hang out in a trio with Liam 24M. When I first met Liam he hit on me hard, tried everything as in would try and compare himself with my husband, say weird things like our kids would be cuter than if you had kids with my husband. He's also made weird comments like I need a city boy and would motion himself, when I'm a country girl through and through. I typically would shut him down or ignore him but I would always get dirty looks from Barry. Skip to Sunday night, I got a message from Lee begging me to come to dinner with her because she wanted to treat me as I had been through a lot in the last couple of weeks. Feeling not so shit about myself I decided to go. When I arrived she wasn't there so I texted her asking how long she would be and she told me 5 minutes. She's just running late and is around the corner, so I just sat down and ordered a drink. Now 5 minutes comes and she's still not there, so I gave her the benefit of the doubt and waited another 5. When I'm about call her, Liam comes rushing over and gives his apologies for being late. I asked him what's he doing here because I'm waiting for Lee and it was a 2-chair table. He smiles at me and grabs my hand. I ripped it off of him and he just says, oh, I asked Lee to set us up. Now that husband's name isn't a problem, we can finally get to know each other. He looked so cringy and I'm telling you I was floored. I stood up and told him that I wasn't interested and I certainly don't give a flying fuck about getting to know him, and that I just lost my husband. Without a word of a lie this man stands up and said, I know you're being overly emotional right now so I'll forgive you for that. Sit down with me. I'm not saying we have to have sex straight away or anything. I was disgusted. I shoved past him and went home as fast as I could. When I did get home Lee messaged me, so how was dinner, with a smirk emoji. I called her and when she answered I didn't let her get a word and I yelled at her, asked her how she has the audacity to do something like this weeks after I just lost my husband. When she's been the one to hold me together this whole time. I asked her what fucking game was she playing and that the only reason I wanted to meet tonight with her was to tell her I'm pregnant. I just hung up on her and texted her I need time and don't want to be contacted by her for the time being. Last night Barry came to my house and asked to talk. I said no and that if he didn't leave I'd call the police. He told me that I broke Lee's heart and that I deeply hurt Liam, when now is an even better time to get to know Liam because he could raise my child with me. I opened my door, which Barry took as I wanted to talk. Instead I hit him with my shoes and chased him to his car screaming. I'm actually embarrassed I did that. All day today I'm being flooded with messages from friends and the trio themselves shaming me for pushing the people who care about me the most away and that they don't even regions the person I've become. The only thing that hurts me most is that my husband would know what to do. He would tell me how to fix it and now I have no one who I can talk to. I'm just so numb inside. I have a therapy appointment tomorrow but I'm thinking of calling my husband's mom even though we've barely spoken since the funeral. Any advice is appreciated. Please exude any typos. I'm just so exhausted. Update, October 30th, 2024. Hello all and thank you. I just wanted to start off with I called my Mill Louise. After making the post I thought that I needed to tell her about baby because just like some of you said, she is overjoyed about the news. She didn't answer my call but instead drove straight over to my house. I honestly didn't know what to say to her but we just hugged and cried all night. I didn't have the best delivery about how I am pregnant, probably due to all the crying, but she just light up and was so happy. It's the first time Eve seen her be this happy in all the time I've known her, so at least I have some support. My Phil came over when he finished work after Mill told him he needed to come to my house, and he was too overjoyed about becoming a pop. Louise offered to have the baby and I move in, and I agreed. She said that I can sleep in my husband's old room, which was a little bittersweet. When I told her what was going on with Liam and Barry, she was furious and told me not to worry about it because they Phil have my back. After a lot of even more crying, Phil told me that my husband would be so happy to have this baby grow up on a farm like my husband did. Overall, our conversations last night was something I needed. Now I'm just going to answer some comments. 1. No, this isn't fake, and if you choose top believe that, then that's fine, but don't be dragging my husband when you don't even know him. Liam didn't kill my husband. It was a car accident and my husband died on impact. Nothing crazy went on, it's just awful, but is as simply as that. 2. Lee was my friend for a long time. She was genuinely there for me when I went NC with my parents, and I thought she was a decent friend. Now, knowing the truth, there is many things I can think of that she did that are red flags. Personally, I think I ignored them because I have never been close to anyone like that other than my husband. 3. Liam is a loser, and from my chat with Barry I learnt that he's always had feelings for me and he's never given up because apparently he's my type. He isn't and never will be. 4. Yes, I ordered a drink. I didn't think I needed to disclose that I ordered a lemonade. It was simply a soda, nothing wild. I know I'm pregnant and I'd never do anything silly. 5. I'm not magically pregnant. My husband and I both wanted children young and were trying for about a year. We just didn't disclose that we were trying because my husband and I think it's weird telling people, oh, we're having sex an extra amount. I don't know, but my husband and I are very private people and kept a lot of it that way. And as for the trio, I've blocked them. None of my family are reaching out because they simply don't know me anymore. The only friends who are reaching out are mutuals of either Lee, Barry, and one of Liam's other friends. I was confused on if I was an asshole because I just left Liam standing there and yelled at Lee. I was so upset. I was confused on the entire thing. But thank you all, and I will update on what happens because I know Liam will not give up until he's in jail. I seriously hope it doesn't come to that, but the fact he drove past my house twice is uneasy, so I'm hopeful the move to husband's parents' farm will have my baby and myself on a better path. Stories number 5. Sister-in-law is bitter. Her ex proposed to me and this got her banned from our family. Am I the asshole here for this? TLDR, my brother David is divorcing his wife and we found out a lot of details about her. As expected, she is not taking the divorce lightly. As planned, David did take some time for himself and went to a retreat cabin for a week. He went there alone because he wanted to have the space and time to rethink his life choices. This was exactly what he told Ella, but left out the location because he did not want to risk her showing up there. The first day he was away, Ella contacted my parents and me to ask us about my brother's location. We did not disclose anything. On Wednesday that week I was contacted by some of my brother's friends. They wanted to know if my brother was okay and if it was true that David was cheating on Ella. Initially I was very confused on why would they think that, but they told me that Ella has been going around complaining to people that my brother was cheating on her and that his family were on board with it and covering up his affair. I told my bro's friends that this was not true, but I decided to be petty, so I went on social media, uploaded a photo of me with my brother and wrote how proud I am of him that he is taking this time to focus on mental health and his well-being. Some hour later Ella called me and demanded I take down my post because I was embarrassing her. I played dumb and asked her why would a post dedicated to my brother would ever embarrass her. She never answered, never admitted to lying, and I never took down my post. It will stay where it is for posterity. After my brother returned from the retreat he asked me, George and my parents to meet up at our parents' place and talk. He apologized for everything that happened with his wife and told us a lot of things about Ella. Apparently, she is a very jealous person and she has a constant need to put others down so she can look better or feel superior. Bro gave us a lot of examples of shitty things she did, including to some of her relatives and supposed friends. One of her female cousins works for a transport company, so most of her colleagues at work are men. Ella told this cousin's husband that there are high chances of her cousin cheating since she spends every day surrounded by men. Her cousin was pregnant at that time, and I don't know if she was trying to imply the baby may not be her husband's, but still, needless to say they don't speak to Ella anymore. She had a girlfriend who got into a relationship with a guy. Ella kept telling this girl bad things about her partner that she supposedly heard from other people. She was never able to tell who she heard it from, most likely she invented everything. That's why her family members avoid her and never invite her to functions, and she does not have any friends. People from their circle were friends with my bro before he married her, so they are just tolerating her for his sake. I mentioned that Ella must be abusing my brother and a lot of people took it the wrong way. When I mentioned abuse, I did not mean it as physical abuse, but more like emotional abuse. I guess everyone has their own way of seeing things, but for me, being married and still being pissed about things that happened with your ex years ago is clearly a sign of disrespect towards your spouse. And if someone is able to openly disrespect their spouse over and over again in front of their family, it's a high chance for that person to do more than disrespect behind closed doors. My bro clearly struggles to see his self-worth at the moment, and this is also the reason why he accepted too many things from his wife. But we will be with him, always support him and remind him what an awesome guy he is. Also, many people were outraged and called me an AH for calling my brother an idiot. I don't know if all of your families and relationships are like those you see in commercials, but in real life siblings fight, and sometimes when they fight, they may call each other's names. This doesn't mean I don't love my brother or that I don't respect him. But if I see him acting like an idiot, I will always say it to his face and explain why I think he is an idiot. I apologized for calling him an idiot, and he said there is no need to apologize because he expects me to always be honest with him even if sometimes the truth may hurt. And I understand because I expect the same from him. Anyways, David confronted Ella with everything that she has been doing and told her she needs to get help. She refuses to accept she has any problem. She states that everything that she has ever done came from a place of love and care for that person, right? Because when you care for your cousin you lie to her husband that she may be cheating on him, or when you care for your SIL you lie to everyone that she is forced to do drugs by her partner. She did not take the divorce well, but not because she was losing my brother, but because she saw this as a failure that shattered her perfect image she had of herself. Maybe after some time passes I will actually be able to feel sorry for her because she is a sad person with so many issues that refuses to get help. Of course Ella blamed the divorce on me and our family, claiming that David is choosing us over her, so clearly she does not take any kind of responsibility for her actions. David however warned her that if she continues spreading lies about our family, we will hire a lawyer and take legal actions against her. At the end of the day if she still insists with her crap, she will have to prove everything in court. Of course we don't want to get to this, but she needs to understand that we cannot say whatever we want about other people and not face the consequences. In the meantime, George and I are planning our wedding and my bro will be George's groomsman. They really had the chance to bond and even discovered they actually have a lot in common. I don't want to be mean, but ever since Ella is out of the picture, our family gatherings happen more often than before and the atmosphere is so light. My brother is slowly going back to his old self. He is having a good time with us, no stress, no dissociating, he is just present and enjoying. So that's it for now. I don't know if this was the update you were expecting, but I can say I am happy. We are slowly healing from everything that had happened this past years, and I am positive that in the end we will be closer and stronger than before. Stories number 6. Am I the asshole here for refusing to go to confession so I can take communion in my brother's wedding? I, 31F, have 3 siblings, 40M, 38F, 27M, and we have a good relationship despite the age gaps between some of us. My older siblings are both married and so am I. The wedding in question is my younger brother's. My younger brother, Luke, is engaged to his GF of a year, Emma, 28F. She is nice I guess, but we have never really clicked and are just polite to each other. Something important is that we are all Catholic, but not really hardcore ones, and some of us are even lapsed. I do believe this whole situation started just when I met her for the first time. I look younger than Luke and it has always been a sibling joke that I am truly the baby of the family. Most people that meet us assume he is older than me, but nobody has had issues with it until Emma. The day I met her she kind of scoffed when I said I was happy the baby had a proper girlfriend. She has this weird thing about being the eldest in her family and refused to believe I was older than her until I showed her my ID. She has been hot and cold with me since then, often infantilizing me or trying to have a sort of boss attitude. I just let her be and usually ignore her since I have no time to try and beg for her friendship, so I am just polite and civil. Always include her when planning stuff but don't really make an effort. The family knows about it but we just shrugged it to different personalities. Then the wedding planning started. Emma decided I could not be in the wedding party since I was not married in a church, fine by me. Then she requested that immediate family submits their dress planning so she could check it fits the wedding dress code, fine whatever. You see where this is going I hope. You'll see I have not gone to confession or have communion in more than a decade. If I go to a mass for whatever reason I am respectful and simply sit or stay standing during the rites I don't participate on. Well, this is not good enough for her and she says I need to take communion during their wedding. I said no and she has not taken it well. For the most part one avoid her as I said before, but this time I wasn't gonna say yes or risk an issue. I told her for taking communion one needs to go to confession and I didn't want to. She said all immediate family is doing it and it will look bad if I don't. I told her sure fine. Then I'll just go have communion in front of everybody but won't do confession. She said if this was gonna be my attitude I was uninvited from the wedding because I clearly wanted to ruin the day for her. I turned to my brother and told him thanks, gave him a thumbs up and went home. My family understand my reasoning and said they respect everybody's choices, but I shouldn't have said what I said. I told them I really don't want to go to the wedding anymore and I don't owe Emma explanations on my life. I only called my grandma because she heard what happened and asked me not to disrespect the church by doing the communion without confession. I promised I wouldn't do it and she is fine with me now. I got a text from my brother wanting to compromise, so I replied by asking if the other lapsed people are being made to take confession too. He said no because it was only nuclear family members. I find it funny since all the others are clearly older than her and she just behaves like this with me and the youngsters. Am I the asshole here? Things have moved, but I wouldn't call any of this a positive progress. I would like to clear something I kept seeing in the comments. I won't request a special blessing or go in the queue for communion. It isn't about the blessing or the compromise but the singling me out. I often just stay quiet or take a general family blessing if we go to weddings, etc. I have no issue with compromises. I have an issue with Emma and her ridiculousness. I don't know why she has this thing with me. I do look young but not like a teen or a child obviously. She has 2 younger sisters and is very authoritative with them. I have witnesses her being very my way or the highway with younger people, so she has issues for sure. The confrontation from the last post was on Tuesday and today we had lunch at my grandma's. I think you should also know that my brothers have a tricky relationship, as in they are not as close with each other as they are with other siblings. My older brother Robert is very no-nonsense and he has never been a fan of Emma, but he didn't think he should have to intervene because Luke is an adult and capable of navigating relationships. All this is gonna be relevant, I promise. We visit grandma a lot since she lives by herself and we truly enjoy her company. Today we were all there because she is over this drama already. After a lunch, that was more like snacking to be honest, she asked us all to clear the air. Emma continued with her rant about me being a disrespectful person and that she was asking the bare minimum from me. My grandma asked her why she had no issue with her not taking communion and Emma said that she was her elder and for sure her reasons were more than a tantrum, like it was in my case. She also repeated that she was asking this of all the siblings and I was the only one that was being difficult with her tiny request. This is where everything crumbled for her. I mentioned in the comments that Robert is also lapsed and he was already exhausted by this situation. He asked her why she had no issues with him not taking communion and she looked like a kid that was caught. She didn't have a proper answer. Robert then asked her if she even knew why he and grandma became lapsed. She shook her head and looked at Luke for help. Luke on the other hand was staring angrily at Robert and I but said nothing. Robert explained to Emma he was the reason grandma became lapsed. When Robert was a teen he came out as gay and was so worried about our grandparents' reaction since they were very active in the Catholic Church. Grandma felt awful about it and even worse when she went and spoke about this with the then priest of her church. That priest was super old school and told her that Robert was committing sins, he was going to hell, he needed to find his way, the whole 9 yards. Grandma didn't take that so well and simply stopped going to church and started spending that time with her grandchildren. Over the years she started getting into the whole community again, but she decided she was done taking the sacraments. She respects parts of the church but can't fully reconcile with it. Emma was a bit confused since Robert is married to a woman and he explained he is bisexual and ended up with a woman just as he could have ended with a man. He also commented they are not married in the church, but that didn't matter to her like it mattered when it came to me. He asked her directly what was her problem with me. Long story short, she said I was rude since the beginning and kept treating Luke wrong. Oh, and I also was very snarky about looking younger than her. Crickets. She is a beautiful successful woman, so I still don't understand her obsession, but it seems like she wants people to see I respect her and what she says. I just started laughing, she started crying and saying I turned my grandma against her. My grandma told her to stop blaming people for her being a negative person and she was always going to side with me over her. Luke got upset at that and asked her why she was not supporting him and she simply said she doesn't support him being a lapdog for a crazy woman. More was said, nothing got truly resolved. I was kind of invited again but declined going. Grandma is undecided if she even wants to go at all. My older siblings told Luke they will go to the ceremony if he seeks couples therapy or at least therapy. My parents are having headaches and now dislike Emma so much they can't hide it. Oh, and yes, Grandma spoke with the priest and he wants them to do extra premarital counseling or he won't officiate. I hope they don't get married, but he is old enough to derail his life if he wants. I thank you for letting me vent, and my grandma loved the poke joke. My brother has gone too far and I decided to be done with him. He made our grandma cry and I think permanently damaged a lot of his relationships. I want to mention some of my cousins and other family members thought I was just stubborn in creating drama, but now there is no longer my side or Emma's side. Maybe he always felt this way, but the issue he has with Robert is absolutely ridiculous. He was so upset with what grandma said about him being Emma's lapdog that he called her to speak about it. I was obviously not present for the conversation, but grandma told me what happened and Luke confirmed it. He told her that it was unfair of me to ask Robert for help since he was her favorite grandchild and would get her to side with me no matter how wrong I was. He also told her that many of the cousins believe this and that it was so obvious since she even left her religion for him. He claimed the other LGBTQ members of the family, most were not even born when Robert came out by the way, doubted if she would do it for them. So Grandma explained to Luke and then call every single one of her grandchildren to ask them how they felt and explain to each a part we didn't know. She said that when Robert came out and she spoke with the old priest, he hinted about knowing of places to set Robert straight. Grandma had heard horror stories from these places and so had Robert, and they both spoke with my parents together about that not being an option at all. My parents never intended to send Robert there and are very casual Catholics, but Grandma wanted to cover the basis just in case. I was told Grandma sounded like she had been crying on the phone, and after the first couple of calls, which went from oldest to youngest, the group chat started to blow. Robert is livid, our LGBTQ cousins are livid and say Luke lied, even the cousins that were telling me to stop being a stubborn head are livid. By the time I was up for my call I was already on the way to Grandma's. 2 of my cousins were already there and the youngest one, Sarah, 16F, was ready to literally fight Luke. For a bit of levity, Sarah is about 35 centimeters smaller than Luke and the image of her swinging at him made me laugh a bit. She asked if I was making fun of her and I just explained the whole mental image of her trying to hit him and she admitted it was kind of funny. What I didn't tell her is I would love to slap some sense into Luke. My grandma has been through so much in her life and this is not what we want for her. She looks puffy-faced and kept asking everybody if they truly felt unloved by her, saying she would do everything for any of us. Explaining how Robert was the oldest grandchild, but that didn't mean she loved the rest any less. She is a strong woman, but I think something inside her broke a little with the thought she hurt her grandchildren. It was a shit show, a big one, and I was just so done with Luke. My parents have been passive towards the situation so far because I asked them to, but after they heard what happened they told him they need time away from him. Robert is simply disgusted and decided to not speak with him anymore, which he communicated through the cousin group chat, with Luke's response being that this is why Emma's help on reigning all us would be so beneficial if we just let her. He also added how Robert never cared for him or anybody really and he just tried to be the center of attention all the time. He cited his coming out, his announcement he was gonna marry a woman, the birth of his child. It was ridiculous. He came out when Luke was a toddler and for many years only our parents and grandparents knew. He announced he was gonna marry his now wife through a text but didn't interfere or took from anybody. His child was born 4 months before Luke's graduation and apparently that was a big issue for Luke that he never commented. Maybe I am biased, maybe I am selfish like Emma claims, but I call bullshit on his tantrum. Every single one of the cousins has been helped, babysat, tutored, gotten out of trouble, you name it, by Robert. He isn't perfect but he isn't the conniving ass Luke is claiming. Maybe Luke has always felt inadequate and we didn't notice, maybe it was his last-ditch effort, maybe Emma has manipulated him so far that he can't come back. It doesn't matter anymore. If he does marry Emma I wish him the best, if he doesn't I hope he goes to therapy. Regardless of what he decides, he burned so many bridges and hurt so many people, I don't see this resolving anytime soon. For now I will focus on my grandma and making her feel better. I feel extremely guilty because it was Emma's situation with me that opened this can of worms. I know I shouldn't but it's hard not to. I want to start this by saying that Grandma is in better spirits now. I am overwhelmed by the amount of people supporting her and very grateful for it even if it's online. I have talked about this on some chats and direct messages, but please know the situation with Emma is not about her being parentified or her family being strict Catholics, it's just her being her. They were already going to get premarital counseling, an extra was added. Oh, all cousins also don't live in the same city or town, some are a bit longer than others but we keep in touch through the chat. The reason for the update is mainly to let people know Grandma is okay, her health is fine, and she had a blast with my cousin Sarah. I also want to update on what has happened with the cousins and the maternal side of our family. Some of our paternal cousins, from Grandma's side, have relented and feel a bit bad on excluding Luke from things, so the compromise was met on, he can be invited to everything, just don't force people to interact. These cousins are mainly on the older side and have soft spots for the youngsters. My youngest cousin, Sarah, said she was okay with it all but she wanted them to keep him away from her since she can't stand him anymore. Our maternal side was a shit show, because of course we need one. Some of them were very upset but others told me I should try to understand where he was coming from. My mom was the one that told them everything and some told her she is at fault for making Robert the star of the family. This was so uncalled for but brought some issues in my family, particularly when one of my maternal cousins asked me if I could behave enough if I am seated at the same table as Luke for his wedding. It makes us doubt ourselves, but really, this is a cousin that Robert has bailed from almost bankruptcy 2 times and he's the problem. I haven't said much about my sister, Lucy, since she voiced nothing different before. She was always very close to Luke and even had a great relationship with Emma before the debacle. She decided to be out of it because she was so disappointed. While she was never made to babysit or anything like that, she was always so into Luke since he was her baby brother. She loved him the most and I know that because she literally told me when I was a kid. We have a good relationship now because her kids are my buddies, but it was rough for a while before that. She was upset about the whole thing, but when our maternal family, or at least a part, started excusing Luke, she lost it. She is a very calm person, the type you don't expect a bad word out of, but she lost it, and I think it was the last straw on the cold bucket for Luke. She sent a massive message about what has been happening, detailing every single thing, and daring people to kind of come at her if they disagreed. She made sure to include every single nasty thing, every bad word, every eye roll. She sent it to so many people because she was tired of the half-information telephone game. She is upset at me because my refusals made this happen, and she said she knows she shouldn't, but she needs time to fix her feelings, so she is not speaking with me right now. My parents decided they were out of the wedding and told Luke he is on his own. There was never a monetary issue, they were willing to contribute, but both Luke and Emma are pretty well off and was no need for that. Now to what maybe most people want to know, and the only conflict I am interested about anymore. My grandma is feeling better. Sarah being with her was very positive. It was lovely to see the eldest and youngest of our family so in tune, but then again they have always been. She requested that Sarah invited Luke to her birthday party, December, and after a lot of back and forward he is going to be invited. We will see if he comes or not. A small parenthesis, I showed my grandma the joke of the knife, sword, etc., she was so giddy. Thank you. I mentioned before that Robert would pick up Sarah if she needed, it is still true. What I might have not mentioned is that she of course gets a weird lecture from him, and an even weirder lecture on how he rates certain drugs. LOL, as I said, he is no saint, but he is not a shit either. Lastly, yes, he has photos even with my sister or me in the newborn wall. People love to take pics of him holding the new family members, and he collected them and put them together when he got his own house. Stories number 7. Am I the asshole for interrupting husband's free time because I'm sick? I, 24F, am pregnant with my second child. My husband, 25M, wasn't the most understanding of pregnancy last time and basically thought I was being dramatic till I started showing, at which point he was very supportive. This seems to be happening again. He has been helping out with our toddler a lot at night, and I'm supposed to then take toddler when he's up at 6 a.m. to let husband sleep in. This has happened with varying success because toddler is loud. Last night husband went to bed at 9:30 p.m. last night and toddler slept till 4:45 a.m. when my husband got up to settle him, and then husband went back to sleep till around 7:45. Tensions were already running high because husband continued to be off the clock, but stayed in the dining room. This meant toddler was running up to dad every 30 seconds. I was trying to make everyone food but was repeatedly being called over to distract my toddler away from my husband. I finally told him if he wanted to have free time he needed to go into the bedroom and shut the door. He did so after some grumbling that he should be allowed to enjoy time wherever he wants in his home, but seemed like he was fine after I brought him breakfast in bed. I continued to clean and take care of toddler while getting sicker and sicker. I had to interrupt husband for a minute to watch toddler while I puked. Then he went back to the room when I was done. At 9:45 a.m. I had to interrupt him again cause I was sick. At this point husband was very upset. He says I shouldn't be offering him free time and then interrupting him repeatedly. I feel I really did try my best to give him free time but can't control when I'm sick. I've tried to just bring toddler with me but he will just open the door and run away while I'm puking. Am I the asshole for interrupting my husband? Stories number 8. Don't make an oath you don't intend to keep. What the hell? I groaned. I woke up in complete darkness with a throbbing headache, lying on a muddy brick floor. To make matters worse was the rancid smell of sewage permeating the area. When I went to push myself up off the ground, I discovered that my hands were bound together and so were my legs. I tried to wriggle free but I couldn't. The ropes binding me were too tight. How the hell did I get here? The last thing I remembered was walking home along the riverfront. Hello? I called out, anybody there? Something large shifted in the darkness. A moment later, a match scratched against the wall and flared to life. The sudden illumination forced me to turn my head away. About time you woke up, the speaker's voice was deep and phlegmy. As he spoke, he used the match to light an oil lamp that was hanging from the ceiling. Once my eyes adjusted to the light, I turned back to get a look at whoever was holding me captive. When I saw them, I'm not ashamed to admit that I pissed myself. What's the matter, boy? The creature grumbled. Haven't you ever seen a troll before? The troll was hideous to behold. Its face was covered with warts and wrinkles and more than a few bugs. The two black orbs that served as its eyes were sunk deep in their sockets. When it smiled at me, I saw a mouthful of teeth that looked like planks of moldy wood jammed into its gums. Why are you doing this? I whimpered. I'm just doing my job. The troll's breath rolled over me, making me gag. It smelled worse than the sewer I assumed I was lying in. What job? Upholding the oaths of those who use my bridge, it said. What bridge? I had no idea what it was talking about. With surprising speed, the troll moved to the other side of the chamber where he slid a solid metal grate to the side, giving me a view of the riverfront. That bridge, it pointed. The bridge it showed me was known as the Love Lock Bridge. A bridge where couples placed locks on the railing to signify the strength of their love. When it was done speaking, it threw something at my feet. I recognized it immediately. It was the lock my girlfriend, Samantha, and I had placed on the bridge a few days earlier. Carved on it were our initials along with the words "Together Forever." "I saw you with that other girl last night," the troll grumbled. "That's a violation of the oath you took on my bridge." It loomed over me. "The punishment for that is death." Stories number 9. Am I the asshole for telling a mother to control her child? So to set this up, I've been up since 5 a.m. to cook breakfast for my family and head out by 6:30 to drive 4 hours to get to a specialty, MD, appointment for one of my kiddos. We homeschool so they both come with me. One is autistic with difficulty paying attention, impulsiveness and restlessness, and the other has severe difficulty paying attention, impulsiveness and restlessness but is being treated. We check into the second appointment for the day. First appointment was testing. Second appointment is to see the doctor. The first appointment was at 10:30. The second appointment was at 1. So we go in. As we are trying to check in, there is a kid who is 3 or 4 running around screaming. At one point while I was trying to check in, the kid ran under me, laid under the counter and started kicking the wall as hard as possible. His mom, sitting down, yells, "You better stop or I'm calling Dad." He does stop the kicking and instead gets up and starts running and screaming again. At one point this kid comes over and starts trying to take our food and drinks, leftovers from the cafeteria that were in a bag, not out and open. I had to grab his hand to stop him. I politely said, "No thank you," as I moved his hand away from the food. His mom, still sitting, once again says if he doesn't stop she's calling Dad. He does something else, she says the same thing over and over. Never moving. At one point my 7-year-old starts curling up in a ball covering her ears. I can see a meltdown coming. I offer to send both kids out into the hall and will come get them when it's time for the appointment. My kids will behave themselves. They know how to act. My oldest was okay at that point. Finally this woman yells to her kid, "Come and watch the phone or I'm calling your dad." At this point I yell, "You've said that 6 times. He knows you aren't going to call Dad. He doesn't care. You aren't disciplining him so he keeps it up because he knows you won't do anything. Stop making threats and do something." She finally gets up and grabs him, at which point he screams bloody murder. My youngest is about to go over the edge so I take her out of the room. The oldest said she wanted to stay. My youngest suggested they give him meds to calm him down. I suggested his mom provide activities for him and interact with him. Personally, yelling at her was extremely restrained in my mind. LOL. I wanted to smack some sense into her. She won't discipline him, I'll discipline her. Stories number 10. Seat stealer gets what she deserves. So, this happened to my cousin 2 months ago. He was flying from Ahmedabad to Kolkata on Indigo Airlines. Since he's tall, I made sure to book him an exit row aisle seat well in advance and even paid extra for it. Fast forward to the day of the flight, he boards, finds his row, and sees someone sitting right in his seat. The entire row is filled, but there's clearly been a seat snatcher situation. Undeterred, he approaches the woman in his seat, let's call her Karen. "Cousin, excuse me, I believe that's my seat." Karen, barely glancing up, "No, there's no way. I always book the aisle seat." "Cousin, maybe you're just in the wrong row. Mind checking?" Karen, sighs dramatically, "Look, this is my seat. Maybe you're mistaken." Cousin, firmly, "Well, my ticket says this seat. Let's check with the flight attendant, shall we?" My cousin heads to the front of the plane and explains the situation to an attendant. She confirms that the seat is indeed his, but instead of escalating, my cousin decides to play it cool. He returns to Karen with a new idea. "Cousin, I spoke to the attendant. She confirmed it's my seat, but since you seem certain, she's offered me a complimentary upgrade to business class." Karen, suddenly interested, "Business class? Really?" Cousin, "Yeah, though honestly, I prefer the legroom in the exit row. Would you want to switch and take the upgrade?" Karen, grinning, "Oh, absolutely." Cousin, "Great. Just go to the front, let the attendant know you're taking the business class upgrade meant for the passenger in 13C, and she'll get you all set." Karen hops up immediately, smugly grabs her bag, and struts to the front. My cousin finally takes his rightful seat, and as he chats with the other passengers, they reveal they've been irritated by Karen's antics too. He shows them his boarding pass, confirming he's exactly where he's supposed to be. The twist? This particular Indigo flight didn't even have business class seats. My cousin knew that. So when Karen confidently asks the flight attendant for her upgrade, the attendant just looks at her in total confusion. Realizing something's off, Karen storms back, visibly irritated, and confronts my cousin. Karen, excuse me. You said there was an upgrade to business class. Cousin, innocently, huh? Are you talking to me? Karen, obviously. You told me to go up there and ask for a business class seat. Cousin, deadpan, why would I do that? Karen, huffing, because I was, sitting in your seat, and you said. Cousin, interrupting, why were you in my seat? I clearly have 13C on my boarding pass. He shows it to the attendant, who's followed her back. Where's yours? Karen's flustered now, trying to explain herself, but a fellow passenger jumps in. Co-passenger, he's not lying. That's his seat, all right. The flight attendant, now visibly exasperated, politely asks Karen to show her boarding pass. Karen rolls her eyes dramatically, muttering under her breath about the incompetence of the airline staff. She makes a big show of digging through her purse, then her carry-on, and even her coat pocket, all the while huffing and sighing loudly as if everyone around her were wasting her precious time. After a few minutes of this performance, she finds her boarding pass but clutches it tightly, refusing to hand it over. She then spins around to face my cousin, looking livid. Karen, loudly, you. This is all your fault. First, you try to steal my seat, and now you've embarrassed me in front of the entire plane. Flight attendant, ma'am, please just show me the boarding pass so we can sort this out quickly. Karen, ignoring the attendant, do you know how much I fly? How often I choose aisle seats because I need them? She gestures around wildly. But today, I have to deal with some random guy who thinks he can just barge in and claim my seat. Her voice is growing louder, and passengers around them are beginning to shift uncomfortably. By now, Karen's frustration has transformed into a full-blown rant, complete with finger-pointing and accusations. She goes after everyone, the airline for hiring incompetent staff, the attendant for not knowing anything, and my cousin, who she calls a liar and a cheat. The flight attendant attempts to calm her down, reminding her that they're causing a delay. But Karen is relentless, her voice escalating with every second that passes. She accuses the airline of disrespecting loyal passengers and shouts that she'll file a complaint so big they'll lose their jobs. By now, nearly 20 minutes have gone by, and passengers around her are beginning to sigh and check their watches. Eventually, the captain is informed of the situation and comes over to assess the problem. Captain, firmly but calmly, ma'am, we need you to show your boarding pass right now, or I'm going to have to ask you to leave the plane. Karen is shocked. Her face flushes as she realizes that her show isn't working. She finally hands over the boarding pass to the captain, who glances at it, then looks back at her with a raised eyebrow. Captain, ma'am, this says 22B. Your seat is 9 rows back, and it's a middle seat. There's a stunned silence as Karen's face goes pale. She tries one last-ditch excuse. Karen, defensively, this is it's so unfair. I'm under a lot of stress, and I can't just sit in a middle seat. I need an upgrade for this horrible experience. Captain, firmly, ma'am, either go to your assigned seat, or you'll need to deboard. Defeated, Karen finally gathers her things, her face burning red with embarrassment as she walks down the aisle toward her actual seat in 22B. Along the way, she keeps muttering curses under her breath, shooting daggers back at my cousin and the flight crew. Meanwhile, my cousin settles back into his rightful seat, and the flight finally prepares for takeoff. Edit. Wow, this blew up. Let me respond to a few comments. English is my second language, so whenever I write something, I always get it formatted and reworded by ChatGPT. It just improves readability. Most of the incident happened in Bengali Hindi, I translated as best as I could. But some things sound unnatural when translated, hence the English may sound unauthentic at times. For example, Karen had her pass inside her blouse. Instead of explaining how Bengali women keep stuff inside a blouse, it's easier to say coat. It's a narrative license so everyone can enjoy the story without getting bogged down by cultural perceptions. I wasn't there, yes. But my cousin recorded Karen's rant, hence writing in detail was easy. While I have his permission to write the story, he didn't consent to posting the recording as it has enough to recognize him. Stories number 11. My 22M, GF, 21F, really went off the deep end at a party, how to proceed. Recently my 22/MGF, 21/F hosted a late Halloween party at her place. I'm going to try and keep the post short but man is there a lot to it. I arrived for the party around 6 p.m. Her roommates and roommate's boyfriend are there, all already tipsy. By 9 p.m. the party is in full swing with around 12 people. It's all good so far. I step outside to smoke a joint and my GF and her roommate walk out. My GF wants to talk to me. She is very drunk at this point and tells me her cousin Adam is coming to the party and he is also bringing Josh. Important: I caught my GF texting Josh inappropriate texts about 3 months ago. She claimed it harmless flirting between friends. She could have him if she wanted but never has nor will. She offered to not speak to him and that's how it's been since then to my knowledge. So GF tells me do not make a big scene. She doesn't want to ruin the party. Josh is just coming to hang out with the entire friend group and then head out. The next 3 hours the entire groups get progressively more drunk, puking and rallying, I believe they call it when they throw up and take more shots. I had 2 shots the entire evening. From 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. my GF was glued to Josh's hip. Made sure he had a drink, sat with him in the couch, laid her head in his shoulder, grabbed his thigh close to the crotch while laughing from a joke. She would twerk a lot with her friends in front of the group, and OFC being my girl, I'm watching her, and each and every time she would finish dancing she would get up and look directly at Josh. My guess is to see if he was looking. This happened at least 5 times. I asked my GF for a kiss quietly at some point as I was really upset about the display, and I guess I wanted Josh to see her kissing me or something. Anyways, she leaned and then pushed me away and left the room. At this point I take her outside and tell her that she's making me upset being all over this guy in my face. She replies this is a lot and walks back inside, ignoring me as I talk. I go back inside. I feel like I have to stay until everyone leaves to make sure nothing happens. At some point around 1 a.m. she gets me out of my seat. I was just chatting with her cousin Adam, and she walks me to the door where she says goodnight and ushers me down the steps. I ask her why I'm leaving. The only people left at the party is her roommates, both her roommates' boyfriends, her cousin and Josh. I can see Josh through the doorway through the kitchen in the living room as I'm looking past her, and she is explaining to me that she just wants to go and take a shot and then go to bed. I asked if I could stay with her tonight. If y'all didn't know, I thought that was the plan from our talks before the party. She says no, she just wants to sleep by herself. She immediately walks back inside and I sit in the steps contemplating what to do. I decide she's not in her right mind and I walk back inside. I care about her. I don't want anything to happen to her. I do not trust anyone around her when she is blacked out. We'll get to this in a moment, but definitely blacked out. So I go back inside and she is sitting on the couch with Josh, and Josh announces to the group they are going to McDonald's if anyone wants to come. I say hey, I'll go, but I'm driving my car. I'm sober, anyone can ride with me. Adam and Josh walk out and get in their car anyways. Okay, cool. I am in the kitchen alone with my GF begging her we are all going to McDonald's. I'm going. They are going. I'm sober. You are all shit-faced. Please ride with me. She is giggling and pretty much ignores what I said and walks to talk to her roommate for a second. They are giggling and she walks out the door towards the guy's car. I'm calling after her. She doesn't stop. I'm crying like please be responsible and ride with me etc. and she doesn't respond, just gets in and they are headed out. I walk back inside. I want to talk to her roommates, who don't really like me anyways, and ask them if they have seen this behavior. Me, one of the roommates and her boyfriend stay up from 1:30ish when they leave until 5 a.m. talking about this whole situation. Her roommate and roommate's boyfriend are telling me she is texting the guy, and she has been talking to him and that she actually has him over here when I'm not around. I'm losing it pretty much all night reconfirming with them over and over that indeed the dude that I caught her texting, has been texting and seeing her. I wait until 5:30 a.m. for her to come home. I'm sitting in her room when she got back. I couldn't even speak to her. They had taken more liquor to go eat at McDonald's and she was so tore up. I don't want to keep rambling, but basically, I wanted to see her phone. I needed to know if what the roommate said was true. She was upset and didn't understand why I was being so aggressive about seeing her phone, so I told her that people are telling me she's cheating. She starts looking for her phone but can't find it. She can't remember if she walked in with it. She's walking around the house like a zombie looking for it. We can't find it. It's like 8 a.m. We call it a night. I stay over only because I want to find that phone ASAP before I leave. We wake up, we can't find it. We go to her cousin's, not in his car. We go to McDonald's, and that's where we find her phone crushed in the parking lot. Man, I don't know what to do. I feel like I could have moved past finding those texts. I was very upset about it, but I was under the impression they didn't talk anymore, and it made me happy to know that she valued my feelings enough to not speak with her friend out of respect for me. Now ick. She disrespected me by inviting him to the party and just telling me to shut up and not make a scene. She disrespected me all night, dancing in front of him, watching his reaction, grabbing all over him, sitting with him, not sitting with me, kissing/hugging me etc. She claims to have no memory of the night after 9 p.m. That's when they started doing some TikTok shot trends or something like that. She remembers doing those shots, and then racing someone on the interstate, and then me yelling at her about her phone. To me, her wanting me to leave and me clearly still seeing the dude in the living room was her subconscious like choosing him over me. What do you all think about this? I don't drink like that. I'm not sure what is going on during a blackout, but the old saying is drunk actions are sober thoughts. Yeah. I can't even clear up what her roommates are saying. She says they are lying. We will all sit down and talk about it. I suppose I want to either expose them as terrible liars or expose her as a terrible cheater. And even if I can confirm she hasn't been seeing him or texting him, how do you deal with the fact that she brought him to the party and told me to shut up about it and did everything she did in front of my face, asked me to leave, left with him? I'm really lost. I want to believe she cares. She seems remorseful for the party but adamantly denies the rumors from her roommate/roommate boyfriend. Stories number 12. Would I be the asshole for not inviting my aunt to my baby shower? Advice needed. My aunt, 40F, let's call her Kelly, and I, 24F, had a close relationship until about a year ago, but she always thought we were closer than we actually were. I would have said she was my favorite aunt, just because we saw each other more often than I saw my other aunt. She also has 2 kids I adore and think of as my niece, 8F, and nephew, 11M, because of our age difference. Being that my entire family lives within 15 minutes of each other, we saw each other a lot and for that reason we're very close. My mom, 42F, let's call her Sarah, was basically a surrogate grandparent to Kelly's kids and has been since they were born. As long as I've been alive we have spent Christmases, birthdays, Easters, and major life events together celebrating. And until about a year ago, besides little arguments that got brushed under the rug, everyone got along great. Well, very long story short, things between Kelly and Sarah have been strained since my wedding shower back in November 2023. They got better for a while, but about a month ago things blew up big time. My grandfather handmade a wooden cradle for me, the first-born grandchild, when I was born, with the intention of passing it down to each grandchild/great-grandchild when they were born. Kelly's daughter was the last born, so they have had the cradle at their house. When my grandfather found out I was pregnant, he asked Sarah, his daughter, where the cradle was. She said Kelly and her brother, let's call him John, 41M, had it at their house, but that their kids had told them it was broken and had been for some time. John does not have the best track record of fixing things in a timely manner. So my grandfather asked Sarah to get the cradle from Kelly and John and bring it to him where he lives out of state so he can fix it before my baby shower. Sarah asks John for the cradle and he basically says they have it but he needs to do some things to it first, thinking nobody knew it was broken. Sarah told him we know it's broken, that's okay, our dad wants to fix it so let me have it so I can take it to him. John avoids the request a few times until a few days later he comes to pick up his daughter from Sarah's house where she spent the day, and Sarah again asked him about the cradle. He dismissed her and Sarah didn't let it slide, confronting him about what was going on. This starts World War III between Sarah and John. Things were said on both sides that shouldn't have been said, and it ended with Sarah telling John to get off of her property. About 30 minutes after John leaves, Kelly calls Sarah and starts cussing her out. She says some terrible things, which conveniently she had been holding her tongue on until after Sarah had done multiple favors they had asked of her. Sarah says some things back. I don't have specific details but I know things were said on both sides. Since that day, John and Kelly have refused to speak to Sarah, and have withheld their kids from seeing her too. They have weaponized their children against Sarah and are using them not seeing her/telling them lies about her to hurt her. I have been able to see the kids a few times, but I now always have to ask as we aren't invited to sports games or birthday dinners anymore. I have remained neutral for the sake of being allowed to see the kids, but I have been distant from John and Kelly because of everything going on with Sarah. They have made it clear they are not participating in Christmas or Thanksgiving too. I am not fighting Sarah's battle for her, as she is defeated and has honestly just given up, but I also don't want to sit back and condone John Kelly's treatment of her either. I texted them both this week and asked if they would be coming to Christmas at my house, that will of course include Sarah, like we have done for many years. This is one of 3 or 4 family celebrations we have around Christmas. They made it clear they would not be attending celebrations at Sarah's house, but I didn't know if that applied to Christmas Eve at my house. Kelly replied saying they would not be coming, which means they will not be at a single Christmas celebration, seemingly due to having to be in the same room as Sarah. I replied and informed Kelly that was unfortunate and that she would not be coming to my baby shower in January because it seemed they were choosing not to participate in family celebrations at this time. My train of thought is, if Kelly and John are choosing for them and their kids to sit out of family celebrations on Christmas because of the fight with Sarah, what would be different 1 month later at my baby shower? The shower will be thrown by Sarah at her house. I don't think there would be a scene made or anything, but I also don't know if I even want someone as petty as Kelly there after what she has said and done to Sarah. Kelly and John say they need time and that it won't last forever, but they are just taking a break. So in my mind, I'm honoring their wishes and giving them their break. However, John did text me and let me know Kelly has been looking forward to me having a child for a long time and would be crushed if she weren't invited. I asked him about Christmas and Sarah and how could she be fine with a baby shower and not a holiday, to which he replied baby showers are a one-time thing and holidays happen every year. I'm not sure if some of that made sense since there are details I cannot add for privacy reasons, but any advice is welcome. I also would love to know if I am being or would be the asshole if I didn't invite Kelly. Thanks so much in advance. Edit to add, a lot of you are asking about the cradle. The cradle is still at John and Kelly's house in their daughter's room. It holds her stuffed animals. John called my grandfather during the fight, and my grandfather decided to let John have until Christmas to fix it, and if it wasn't fixed by then he would take it home, fix it, then bring it back by the baby shower. I have since said I do not want the cradle, because when John and my grandfather spoke on the phone, my grandfather basically said he did not tell Sarah to ask for the cradle, a lie, and asked why she was involved in the first place. My grandfather has apologized to Sarah and things between them are now fine, but nothing else has been said about the cradle. If the cradle ends up being fixed and given to me, I will take it, but I'm also not going to ask for it. Stories number 13. Am I the asshole here for telling my SIL that I've had 4 miscarriages when she said I didn't understand her loss? 34F. I'm married and a mama to a 1-year-old daughter. My husband and I actually had a very difficult time becoming parents. I've had 4 miscarriages, 4 before my daughter was born, but I'm honestly just so thankful that we have her. I don't typically speak about my fertility issues, and the only people who know how about my miscarriages my parents, husband, and 2 older sisters. My husband has SIL, 31F, who we love dearly, but she tends to play the woe is me card and act like no one else is struggling as much as her. She and her husband recently got pregnant, and about a month ago, she had a miscarriage. She's been open about it on social media and at family events, and so I've reached out and expressed my condolences and listened several times. I can tell that she's really struggling with this, and I genuinely feel badly that she's suffering. On Saturday night, we went to my in-laws' house for dinner. My SIL was talking about the miscarriage, and how hard it's been. My little girl was sitting on my lap, but she was playing and obviously didn't understand what her aunt was talking about. At one point, my SIL started crying, and my daughter noticed and got upset. She wanted to give my SIL a kiss to make it better. She always does this when someone is upset. I told my SIL that my daughter wanted to give her a kiss, and she said, no, pretty harshly and looked annoyed. My daughter was confused, and I told her to give me a big kiss instead. My husband said that was rude, since our daughter noticed she was sad and just wanted to make her feel better. My SIL then said it's just hard that both of her brothers have happy and healthy babies when her child is dead. She said she loves her niece and is so happy that she's here, but she's sad she and her husband haven't been blessed with a child yet. This deeply upset me, because I can't believe she'd be triggered by her own niece. I've never looked at my sister's kids or my BL's kids and felt anything other than joy that they were in the world. My SIL must have noticed I was uncomfortable, because she proceeded to say that we couldn't possibly understand since we haven't ever lost a child. I should have kept my mouth shut, but that comment and assumption was the last straw. I told my SIL that we do understand, since I had 4 miscarriages. I said that it took years of trying before I brought my beautiful girl into the world. My MIL, who's very kind and empathetic, hugged me and said she was so sorry to hear I'd struggled with that. My SIL was shocked, and asked why we never told anyone. I said I'm private, wanted to process it on my own, and have a hard time talking about my own hardships because I know everyone else is going through things as well. Anyways, my husband told me that his sister called him and is upset. She said I was trying to compete with her by saying I had 4 miscarriages. She also said I was trying to make the conversation about me when her wounds are still fresh. She also commented that I was being passive-aggressive when I said everyone is going through things and that I was minimizing her loss. My husband was laughing when he told me, but I actually feel a bit guilty. Maybe it wasn't appropriate to bring up my miscarriages in that moment, but her comment really got under my skin. Am I the asshole here? Stories number 14. Am I the asshole? If I cut off all contact with my ex-wife because she keeps contacting me, I'm a 39M who divorced my ex-wife, 38F, 8 months ago. We didn't have children together because she was unable to have them, and while I always wanted kids, I accepted that. Our marriage was fairly stable for the most part, but in the last few years, things got bad, and I eventually decided I couldn't take it anymore and ended things. Currently, I'm in a relationship with a 25F coworker, and I'm very happy in it. She's much more attractive, intelligent, and kind-hearted than my ex-wife ever was. However, ever since I started this new relationship, my ex-wife has been constantly harassing me, asking why I moved on so quickly, accusing me of cheating during our marriage, and repeatedly reminding me of how terrible a husband I was to her. It honestly feels like she's losing it. I'm really tempted to just cut off all contact with her because I can't keep dealing with this, but at the same time, I feel like I'm obligated to listen to her until she works through whatever she's going through, even though it's draining. Am I the asshole? If I just cut off contact with her, or should I keep putting up with it for her sake? Stories number 15. Am I the asshole? For not paying my fiancée or her parents' rent. My fiancée, 26F, invited me, 23M, to live with her last March. At the time, I was working as a live-in nurse, and I was reluctant to leave my position, in part because of the free board and room. However, my fiancée continued asking me to move in, and made it clear that she was offering for me to live at her place rent-free. She herself does not pay any rent or utilities at her apartment, since it is owned by her parents. The place has a market value of around €1,000 a month and utilities Wi-Fi come out to around €100 a month. Eventually I agreed, and we decided that I would pay for all of our groceries, about €400 a month, since, after all, I wasn't paying rent. Over the past 6 months, we've also used a car owned by her parents about 6 times for various errands/weekend trips. On all trips, we split the cost of gas. The car sits in a garage that's worth about €300 a month, which, again, neither of us pay for. A bit more info: I'm an expat working as a nursing assistant, where I make €1,200 per mo. My fiancé is an unemployed writer who has zero income, but also spends next to nothing on living expenses. For the first few months, this arrangement worked for us. But, after a while, my fiancé started to make more comments about how it's her place and I live here for free. Now, after 6 months, she is insisting that I pay rent to her parents or put money into a fund that can be used for her rent in the future. She continues to live in the apartment without paying any rent to her parents, and her parents have expressed no concerns about me living there. My fiancé asserts that she wouldn't be living in her apartment if not for me. She would rather be homeless, which she has done before, or she would find the cheapest apartment possible. It's only because I'm in her life that she continues to live in this apartment, which she feels damages both her pride and her standing with her family. I'm hurt by her insistence, and it seems like she wants me to provide for her financially, and it feels unfair that she would want me to pay rent on a place where she is living for free. I've suggested that we find a different apartment in a cheaper area and split the rent, but she can't afford to move anywhere else. What do you think, Reddit? Am I the asshole for not wanting to pay her rent? Stories number 16, all in one. I, 30F, found out my boyfriend, 36M, has been secretly texting his ex-girlfriend behind my back and lying to me about it for weeks. TLDR, while on a trip I planned and put together to celebrate his birthday doing things he's always wanted to do, I found out my boyfriend has been, innocently, texting his ex-girlfriend behind my back for over a month, admitting to blocking her when he's with me and unblocking when he's not. I think this is terrifying behavior. He's since deleted everything and she won't send me the texts between them. All in one. Yesterday I had an amazing day with my boyfriend. It was the first real day of our week vacation that I planned and organized for his birthday. As we were on our way to dinner, he suddenly wanted to go through my phone. Out of nowhere he starts going through messages from months before I ever even met him, questioning who everyone is. Mind you, I've never cheated on him or talked to anyone behind his back. In fact, when my ex reached out a few times I openly told him about it as soon as it happened and asked him how he'd like me to proceed. Anyways, after going through all of that he checks my recently deleted texts. He is not tech savvy, so I asked him how he knew that existed. At which point he banged, stumbling over his words. I asked him if he's been deleting messages and then deleting them from recently deleted. He said no. A little background. My boyfriend has an ex he broke up with right before meeting me, and when he blocked her some months into being with me, she began emailing him non-stop horrible things. These were many times a day, multiple times a week. About 5.5 weeks ago his ex abruptly stopped emailing. I found this extremely weird. And I began questioning him if he'd talked to her. He started acting weird with his phone. Being secretive. And my anxiety peaked. I must have asked him over a dozen times if he was being honest with me about everything and if there's anything I needed to know. Hell, I even voiced that I need to make my sessions in therapy more often because I have no idea why my anxiety is so high. All the while he played the supportive boyfriend doing nothing wrong. Well, after he went through my phone I asked him if I emailed her, would the story line up? He assured me it would. Then while at dinner he stepped away to the bathroom. When he came back I made a bitter comment. What did you go in there to warn her to get your story straight? He assured me no, he hasn't spoken to her in months. LOL. Later that night, we make up. And we're laying in bed and I ask him, so you swear you haven't talked to her? I swear, on your family. Silence. This is when I knew. I told him he needed to tell me everything. At which point he was silent for about 15 minutes, you can imagine my anxiety. Finally he admitted that he did talk to her. Just once to give her closure. I'm freaking out. How could you lie to me? I don't believe it was just that once, when was the last time, etc. All the while he's saying just the once and it was right after the emails stopped. He swears. Then I look at my phone. What do I have? An Instagram request message from his ex saying that he told her I was going to email but she hasn't received anything. Oh man. I lost it. I told him to tell me everything because obviously he was still lying. He wouldn't. So I packed my bags, and got a sketch-ass hotel and slept there with my bags against the door. Talked to his ex this morning. She was trying to cover his back and he hers. Turns out they've been talking. What about, who knows? 4 weeks. The most recent time, aside from when he was in the bathroom, was a week before our trip when she wished him happy birthday and they chatted about this trip. Allegedly she said she could disappear, but did he take her up on that? Nope. The guy thinks he was the good guy for making amends with her while gaslighting me and lying and making me feel like I am just an overly anxious person, which I'm not when I'm in an environment that's true. What's crazy is, my intuition knew and I was literally having dreams about him talking to her. All the while he was constantly assuring me, I don't know if there's any way past this. Am I overreacting? Update. So, as most of you who kept up know, I had to stay a day and one night in the cabin with him. He wouldn't leave me alone. Kept apologizing and asking if I can forgive him. He didn't even let me sleep in the bed, after I expressed, he can take the floor or couch. So I took the couch. We left the next morning. It was a 7-hour car ride full of him attempting to apologize, say how he doesn't know how he could ruin this. He should have told me about trying to tie it up with her and we should have handled it together. That he didn't know why he does this to people. He is ashamed and a shitty asshole. That he hopes I can forgive him. Fast forward, we're home, he won't leave my house. He stayed with me most of the night and kept asking me to forgive him. Says he doesn't know WTF happened to him and he feels like he was in a trance at the cabin. Claims he has no idea why he'd defend his psycho ex. At this point, I even kind of believed she was a bit psychotic, like true definition wise, not in a demeaning way. Boy was I manipulated. After a movie, he finally left and this morning he sent me a screenshot of him signing up for therapy. Said this is special and he really saw us being forever. Doesn't know why he did it and he'll never speak to her again. Swears he's sorry and will work through everything, considering giving me full access to his Apple ID and online accounts. Then he said he was going to the gym then his parents because he needed to clear his head. Well, while he's at his parents' I got a very long email from his ex, about an hour ago, uncovering the extent they've been talking, turns out the whole time by the way. And the amount of lies and manipulation is, truly the worst thing I've ever experienced personally from any man. She told me the entire story, from the very beginning. And it was full of things that only he and I should ever know about with a little twist in the way he painted me, so I know she can't be lying about most of it. I am in actual shock right now. I'm sitting on my couch and I start to cry and then I just feel numb. I mean this guy is possibly the scariest man I've ever let into my life. The extent of his lies and deceit is insane. I genuinely don't even have the capacity to go into depth right now. His ex and I are exchanging emails and it just gets deeper and deeper. I mean, this is like the type of lying and behavior you only read about in psych books. I mean he hits every point of a narc and everything that defines a sociopath. I can't believe I let someone like this into my life and was still considering believing him. Holy shit. I sent him screenshots of what she sent me and told him to never reach out to me again. He literally tried to pick specific things out and say that she was lying and he's so sorry. She would say that to me, claiming he never said things she claims, and that she's still sprinkling in lies. I am running far away. TLDR, it goes way deeper than I ever even imagined and this guy is fucking scary. I'm cutting all ties and running. Stories number 17. The Memory Keeper. They call me the Memory Keeper. For a price, I can take your happiest memories and preserve them forever in delicate glass bottles that glow like fireflies. But what no one knows is that memories fight back when you try to cage them. Each one screams as it's ripped away, and those screams live in my head forever. Emma was 6 when the gift manifested. I didn't mean to take her memory that day, her first ballet recital, pink tutu and missing front teeth. But when she hugged me, something inside me snapped with hunger. The memory didn't just crystallize, it tore out of her like a living thing, leaving invisible wounds that never healed. Her smile became vacant afterward. She couldn't remember why she loved dancing, but her feet would bleed sometimes from dancing in her sleep. That was just the beginning. Every time I touched her, another memory would claw its way out. Her 7th birthday vanished in a storm of phantom cake and candle smoke that choked me for days. Her first bike ride left tire tracks burned into my palms. The day at the beach where she conquered her fear of waves. The memory took that fear with it, and she nearly drowned twice after that, walking into the ocean with empty eyes. My shelves don't just glow with her memories, they pulse like beating hearts. Sometimes at night, I hear her childhood self crying inside the bottles, begging to go home. But home isn't home anymore. Emma is 26 now, a stranger who walks into my office clutching a wedding invitation, her hands shaking with tremors doctors can't explain. I'm getting married next month, she tells me, but I can't remember anything about growing up. The doctors found holes in my brain where memories should be. Someone mentioned you might help. My hands shake as I take out my special bottle, the first one. Inside, a tiny dancer bleeds real blood from her feet. All these years, I've been trying to find a way to give memories back. Every attempt has ended in madness or worse. But for her, this might kill us both, I whisper, and break the bottle. The memory doesn't shimmer, it screams. When it floods back into her, her spine arches like she's being electrocuted. Daddy, she gasps, you were there, but your eyes were black holes and you were eating pieces of me. I break another bottle. Another. Each shattered memory slices deeper than glass, showing us both the horrible truth. I never just took her memories. I took pieces of her soul, fed on them like a parasite. With each restored memory, my body dissolves further, decades of stolen moments turning against their captor. Why? She sobs, as 20 years of nightmarish truth crashes back. What kind of monster are you? The kind that loves so wrongly it becomes hunger, I whisper, my flesh now translucent, memories visibly writhing beneath my skin. I lost your mother, and grief turned me into this. I'm so sorry, Emma. The last thing I see is her in a wedding dress stained with my liquefying remains, dancing in our living room to music only the dead can hear. They'll find my office empty tomorrow, just a daughter surrounded by broken glass and bloody footprints, finally remembering how to scream. The worst part? In every returned memory, she sees what I really looked like all those years, not a father protecting her, but a creature of shadow and hunger, feeding on her light. Some memories can be returned, but the truth they reveal can destroy more than just the moment they capture. Now my bottles sit empty on other people's shelves, each one containing not just memories, but pieces of a father who loved his daughter so wrongly he became the monster under her bed. Stories number 18. My husband, 30M, wants to go on a trip to have one last fun night before we try for kids, saying my past wrongs is the reason. What do I, 29F, do? Husband, 30M, and I, 29F, have been together since high school. A year into the relationship I regrettably cheated. I was stupid and regretted the whole thing, so I told my now husband, boyfriend at the time, the day right after. Now I'm not saying that me coming out clean makes things easier or better. It didn't. I begged him to forgive me and to stay. For half a year, we were not together. And after 6 months, we decided to try restart our relationship. It took a lot of work and was definitely hard getting through the first few years. But after we healed, years later, we got happily married. Now we are 6 years married, and planning to try for a kid next year. After the terrible ordeal at the start of our dating relationship, we have figured out how to communicate with each other and have built trust. So I don't know if this is because we have such great communication that he expressed this to me. Before we have a kid, he wants to go on a trip to have one fun night. Mind you, he said something a bit more vulgar, but we have potty mouths naturally. He used my former mistake as reason for this. That he in some way deserves it. Now, I just stood at the sink doing the dishes, speechless. Like, where did all my good communication go in that moment, because I did not know how to tell him how much I hated the idea. Obviously, I'm desperately in love with this man and he has been everything to me. Telling me to leave him right off the bat is not advice. Telling me I get what I deserve is not advice. I need help or courage, or both, to speak with him about this matter. How do I approach it? How do I say I don't like it? How do I say no? This may just be my anonymous rant because I'm too scared to tell my best friend or therapist. So here I am telling strangers. Stories number 19. I thought I had healed, but boy was I wrong. My ex of 8 years broke up with me early June. It's not November and I came back to get my stuff as well as vote since I'm registered in this state. I genuinely thought I had made a lot of progress and felt happy. Well, when she opened the door my heart felt like it was coming home before my brain violently reminded me this isn't my home. I'm literally there to pack my shit. I'm in a whole new state with a new job that I actually like even if I get paid shit, and I literally started exploring my sexuality. All I feel is guilty and bitter. I knew I'd always love her, but to feel my heart actually break was awful. We haven't hugged or done anything at all. We bumped knees a bit at dinner with our friends, but it was cause of how close we all sat to each other. When we were by the house, she touched my face and I almost gave in to hug her. I can't handle this, bro. She doesn't want me anymore and it stings because she's so amazing. I miss my house, I miss the friends I made, I miss her brother, we all live together, God I fucking miss her. I don't feel like I'm gonna be happy again. Stories number 20. Today I cried in front of my managers at work. I 23F work at an accounting firm. I am a first year, straight out of college, and I started about 2 months ago, about 1.5 months with my team. I was having a light-hearted yet serious chat with my two senior managers, 1M1F, about the reality of taking the CPA exam during busy season and possible dates that would be feasible for me to do. We came to the topic of taking one in early January and I said that I actually planned to take it in late January. And on that note, there were 2 days in the late January to early February that I would need to take PTO. As I was about to explain why, I started to choke up and my voice started to quiver. And next thing I knew, tears were streaming down my face. They kinda started to freak out and say, it's okay, and that I could explain it in an email or not even mention it. I started apologizing profusely and started saying that I didn't even know why I was crying, and I ultimately didn't even get to explain why I needed those days off. I hate crying, especially in front of other people, so suddenly having tears running down my face was very shocking for me. Eventually I stopped crying and we continued on the conversation like nothing happened, which I was very grateful for. After I went back to my desk and messaged my friend what happened and teared up a bit more, but also tried to hold it together so that my colleagues didn't notice. Before I went home, I went to the grocery store and bought comforting snacks and food because I felt so embarrassed and defeated. When I got home, I mustered up the courage and sent an email explaining why I needed 2 days off during busy season. The reason why I started crying and why I need those days off. I lost my older brother a couple of years ago, and usually on his birthday and anniversary I become an emotional wreck, and I just know that I wouldn't have been able to work properly. I'm actually so embarrassed, and I'm just so glad it happened right before I left for the day and that I get to working from home tomorrow. But I'm also really nervous about how this is going to affect me at work. Edit, I've been reading everyone's comments, and some of them made me cry a bit more, haha. Thank you everyone. I feel so much at ease now. Sending everyone a virtual hug. Stories number 21. Take my credit. Lose your credibility. I work in research and development in my company. I usually don't get involved too much in deals like suppliers and manufacturers, that's a different department. But my team and I have been working on a project that made it more necessary for me to get involved in the finer details of a big manufacturing deal. We are wrapping up the project and I found out that someone high up in the manufacturing department has been meeting with the other company without me and was going to basically take credit for all my team's work. It isn't a huge deal for me, but it could affect bonuses for some of my employees. So today I talked to the chief operating officer, who told me that they recognized that my team did the work and deserve credit, but that it was going to be easier at this point to just let the other person handle the deal. I was okay with this because we got the credit, but it was a load off my plate and I have other things to do. But then this prick has the nerve to ask where he can take the clients for lunch. He didn't say who, but I knew they were coming to town, so it wasn't hard to figure out. So I told him about a new restaurant that is opening. It should be a nice place for them after a long flight. The restaurant? Twin Peaks. If you don't know, it's kinda like Hooters rip-off. After lunch they came by the office and I made sure to say hi. They were clearly not impressed, and their chief technology officer even made a comment that he wished I was handling things because he didn't like the other guy's style. They were clearly uncomfortable with his choice in restaurant, and he had some glares for me as well.